you and we actually started talking about alternative investments in digital assets in particular. I think it was maybe summer of 21 or was it 2020? I forget. But we kind of described the big picture back then as artificial, bloated, and overdue.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was obviously where we see the change now is we had ultra loose monetary policies and fiscal policies for a long time. We had excessive public and private debt as a consequence, financial market imbalances and very toppish markets, which we've now seen some corrections. Now we have rising inflation and interest rates. And all of that has been accompanied by other big changes, including a global economy that is slowing. We have negative demographics, not just in the West. China, for example, is hugely affected by that. It's one of the big problems they're dealing with. An energy crisis in the West due to some of the energy policies and strategies, growing geopolitical and social tensions, and also a confluence of new technologies and innovations. So that was kind of the big context or the big picture backdrop that we kind of saw and said, this would be an interesting time to start and look into building something in the alternatives space. And what then came out of that was really AltAlpha strategies to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in your words, AltAlpha strategies, if you describe the idea or what the vision is for AltAlpha strategies, how would you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, high level, I would say giving access to alternatives which are maybe not accessible for most people in a very professional and diversified way to literally participate in the huge upside which is in these new emerging fields in a very high level perspective. And then additionally, I mean, starting maybe with digital assets, I mean, I think if you believe in a world which is becoming more and more digital, which is, I think, happening all around us, and if you also follow a little bit the developments of the web in the early days, let's call it Web 1.0, and then the Web 2.0, Web 3.0, I think the digitization of assets, of money, of everything which goes beyond information is a natural evolvement of what started with the digital revolution, and that there's maybe something alternative to the traditional monetary system, which is based on many things, but definitely not on a digital revolution. I think that's for me quite obvious. And from this perspective, what started with Bitcoin and is now evolving with all kind of different digital asset projects is for me just a natural evolvement from this digital revolution. So if you believe in the continuous development in this field, I think you somehow have to have exposure into this space. And again, I think everybody should read the white paper of Satoshi Nakamoto to understand a little bit what's behind and then maybe get some exposure. And the next step, if you're looking for alpha, is alternative alpha in the digital asset space. So AltAlpha Digital is maybe the best explanation of this specific product. So literally have somebody screening all these alternative asset managers generating alpha based on all kind of interesting strategies, and then going further from the digital space to the traditional space. I mean, hedge funds also something. You have many perceptions, but I think just looking at the facts, it makes sense that you have a certain allocation in this field. So that's then the reason for the other product.
All weather.
Exactly, the all-weather product, and then gold as maybe the most traditional and well-known asset in the AltAlpha universe, also something which just makes sense to have allocation in the portfolio. So then literally you cover from the most traditional to the maybe most exciting field, everything which is happening in this alternative space.
Yeah, if we look at, those three funds that we've created, and we don't want to make this, a marketing event too much, but AltAlpha Strategies basically has started and launched with three funds: the AltAlpha Digital, the second one is AltAlpha All Weather, and the third one is the Integrity Gold Fund. And it's ultimately what we were trying to do is to create, like you said, kind of a portfolio, an array that is suited well for that new era. and the new era to some degree is going to be harder to invest in. And so basically we're covering with the AltAlpha Digital something which is, in terms of risk profile is more speculative. All weather is really in the moderate zone where it's performed at low volatility and creates very steady returns since 2018. Last year too, I think the fund closed with around 7% plus, not negative. And then Integrity Gold, you could say, well, who needs another gold fund? But there too, we're being innovative in a sense that there are a lot of gold funds out there. Some of them have big claims. First of all, they certainly say they're fully backed by gold. That is not always completely true. There's also other, marketing positioning pieces where they say they have, gold that is green or it's ESG and so on. The problem with those products is that very often they're not really that transparent. So what we're doing with that fund, again, something innovative, is to show that using the technology of Exedras to show each bar in the fund and actually being able to drill down into the details of that gold bar. Where did it come from? Who produced it? And so on. So that's kind of the array of funds that we've created for that new era.